So we allow live. So hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us at March 2023 Your Overseas Home virtual event. My name is Ryan Timms and I'm your marketing manager here at Your Overseas Home. As a business, Your Overseas Home has been helping customers relocate and buy property for over 10 years. We provide valuable resources and connect you directly with trusted experts to help you support with your purchase. So it's great to have so many of you here with us today, whether you're live or catching up on demand. It's wonderful to have you here. So for this session, I'm joined by three property experts who are here to help share their knowledge and advice on buying a property in Italy. So this is how today's session will go ahead. So Manlio isn't here with us yet, but he'll be joining the next few minutes or so. So firstly, we'll hear from Stefania from the property organizer, and then we'll hear from Trevor from Smart Currency Exchange. And then finally, we'll hear from Manlio from C Legal when he joins us shortly. So yeah, if we're going to get started, we'll start with Stefania. Please, can you give us a short intro and explain how you can help us in the process and the areas that you cover?
Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm Stefania. I'm the owner of Property Organizer. And just a short info about us. We are a property funders company. We were funded in 2006. We are one of the few companies that are registered, UK companies that are registered on the Association of Property Professionals, or Association of International Property Professionals. We have professional indemnity insurance, and we're very focused on customer service and the interest of our buyers. What we do differently from an estate agent, so as I said, we're not estate agents, but a property consultancy firm. We carry out personalized property searches for our clients. So what we do, we are one point of contact for prospective buyers looking for properties in Italy. We cover all Italy, and we have our consultant spread throughout throughout all the regions in Italy, with a very large knowledge of Italy, various towns, and so we can help them to focus on various locations or give an advice about locations. What we do as well, we assist them throughout the whole process. So we're not an estate agents that offers just some properties, but we help them to understand the market, giving advice about location, about type of properties that they can get within their market, within their price range. And then we assist them throughout, as I said, the process by offering complementary services like we obtain the fiscal code, which is like a tax code similar to the national insurance number here in the UK, that is required to buy a property in Italy, is actually required to even buy a mobile phone in Italy or a washing machine in Italy. So we do that on their behalf. We open Italian bank account on behalf of our clients. So there is a lot of restrictions now for foreign people to buy an Italian, to open an Italian bank account. So we agevolate that for them. And we do everything in both Italian and in English. Most of our consultants speak also other languages. So we have French speakers, German speakers. So we can assist them really as local, but giving an international type of assistance. We also have other type of services that we assist with our clients. We have a legal department, so we have in-house lawyers for clients that buy through us, but also clients that buy independently. Very often we have clients that come using our legal services. We can offer assistance for mortgages in Italy. We work with several Italian banks, but directly with head offices, so we can help them to obtain Italian bank accounts, because a lot of clients are really worried about buying in Italy with thinking that they cannot get any type of finance, but Italian banks still do give mortgages to non-Italian buyers. And we also have a team that deals with the restoration. So we have an interior designer, architect, engineer. So most of our clients that want to buy a property to renovate, they then ask us to assist them throughout the process. And we project manage as well as obtaining permission for their project. So I'm personally based in London, but I travel very often in Italy, and we have some staff that is based here in London, and most of our team, search team, consultant, based in various parts of Italy, from the north of Lombardy, Lakes, Sicily, Puglia, Tuscany. So in a nutshell, we are kind of a 360 degrees, as people say, a firm related to properties in Italy.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that update and an introduction to yourself. So I've got some questions here. So Can you please give us, tell us about the recent property market in Italy and kind of what are the trends at the moment and what prices are doing?
Well, this, as in the UK, depends really on the locations, north, south, center, big cities. Even within a city, you have a pocket of a different type of markets. What I would say is that the regions that have increased a lot in the last 2-3 years have been in the south. Like, for instance, Puglia had a massive increase of not just of requests, but also property prices. So over 10 years ago, you could buy like a little trullo, which is the cone building, or a rustic property around the 30,000-40,000, and then put in another maybe 100-150 for renovation, and you would get the property for about 500,000-600,000 in terms of value. Now that doesn't happen anymore, although there is still a very large property growth there. So you might have the same little trullo now around the 70, 80, 100,000, but still the moment you start to renovate it, you can obtain a very large profit. And there are a lot of requests also for large properties in, as I said, in the region of Puglia, for instance. We've seen in the last 12-18 months an increase of a request for property from the 600,000-700,000 to 3-4 million, which in the past wasn't that case. Sicily again, in the south is also another region with a lot of requests. And we've seen a good kind of interest on city, kind of like art cities for people that want to kind of invest on property to put on the rental market. A city like Milan, Florence, I would say Perugia as well, are cities where the properties tend to get sold very quickly. Other cities in the north that are very sought after are in the Veneto area, so Venice as always, but also we got other less famous cities, but still very charming, that have a very interesting and very quick market, like it could be Treviso, for instance. So different, the market in Italy is not as low as it was in the past, as in particular after the COVID, there's been a lot of requests, and the average market, we have to bear in mind that tend to be around the 12-18 months, but now there are some cities where literally within several weeks the property gets sold. One of them is, for example, Florence.
Perfect. So I know you mentioned earlier there are specific areas of different prices. So what would be the property bargains right now on your radar, and where would buyers get the most value for their money?
Most value for their money is still kind of the south, we should say. However, in the north of Italy, there are still some regions where within the pocket of regions, there are some very good deals to be struck. So, for instance, the south of Piedmont has a really good market where you can get large country houses within the 200,000-300,000. While instead the same amount in Tuscany doesn't, brings you either other apartments or property that need substantial renovation. However, saying that, there are some areas of Tuscany where you can get some good options, because they are not areas that are yet overdeveloped. A couple of them, if I have to think on my feet, would be the Garfagnana, which is north of Lucca, in the mountainy area of Lucca, the area of north of Florence. Again, you're looking around the 45 minutes, even with the direction by train, and bordering with Emilia-Romagna. There you can get some good large property. So even Tuscany or regions that were considered very expensive can get, you can obtain a good options. Who likes lakes, for example, Lake Piedmont, in Piedmont and Lombardy, so like Lake Maggiore, Lake Como, Lake Horta are really expensive areas, but one just need to travel maybe that 20 minutes, half an hour from the lake. You don't see the lake, but if you want large properties and be closer to the lakes, you can get really good property. I mean, only recently, one of our clients purchased a property in the town of Biella, which is a little charming town south of Lake Horta and Lake Maggiore, for 100,000. And so you do have some good options throughout Italy. Really, we need to just understand what the client is looking for, what are the priorities, and then kind of discover a little bit areas that are not as famous, but still equally beautiful.
Yeah, perfect. So I've got a few more questions to ask,
Yeah.
but just to make sure that everyone's aware, while each exhibitor is speaking, there's an opportunity to ask questions in the Q&A tab below, and I can ask them on the behalf. Obviously, we hope to answer as many questions as we can today, but if we don't get to answer all of them, don't worry, because the exhibitors will be in the exhibition hall after, and they can answer any of your steaming questions later on today. So we've had one come through from Mila. So she's asked, in terms of rental income, what is the best area in Italy?
Again, I don't like to repeat myself, but it really depends on the requirement of a client. So if somebody wants a rent, what kind of yields and want to obtain, and also what kind of usage they want to do. So there are some, for example, some city, as I mentioned before, Florence and Venice, Perugia, where the rentals are really sought after. And you can rent for almost 3/4 of a year. But it depends again on the type of rental. If you want to use the property for yourself, and therefore kind of freezing out certain times. If instead you are just buying the property as investment, looking at cities that are have a university, international university, are really good. So Perugia, Pisa, so where you can get very higher rental because they're like a short lets. But if somebody has a very tiny budget, for instance, and won't just put property on the market, buy property and put it for rental and just have some revenue. If the south, there are, for example, little towns like Scalea in Calabria, where property 40, 70,000 can give you, in particular, if you rent it throughout the year, can give you even a 7, 8, 9% revenue. But really depends on what is the budget, what do I want to do with the property? Do I just need to rent it and that's it, or am I planning to use it and therefore enjoying Italy as well? How long do I want to keep a property for rental? Do I want to use it in the future? Do I want to sell it? So there are a lot of questions. It can't just be said, what is the best town to rent?
Nice. So if I was interested in a property in somewhere in Italy, when is the best time to come for a viewing trip to see that property in detail?
What I would say, we've been really busy throughout the years. We've been on the market for over 15 years, and the time when we are really kind of slow, if you want to say, is the first 2 weeks of January after Christmas, and then after that we're really busy all the time. But the best time for doing viewings, I would say, is not when there are holidays like the Easter, the main central week of August, around the Christmas, or around the beginning of November, when there are several bank holidays. Italian agents and Italians generally, because we have to remember that very often the owners during viewings are in the house, or they are the one that likes to open the house. It's not like in the UK where they very often the estate agents walk around the house and the house is empty. In Italy, there is this kind of custom for the seller to be present. So it is important that the viewings that doesn't take place during that kind of period. Otherwise, if somebody has a limited time and they want to see several properties, they will find themselves not be able to view it. So, throughout the year is fine, but avoid the national holidays, because Italians are really, really strict and they like their holidays, and they won't attend even if they know that is the only time for them to show the property. They will say, no, I'm sorry, we're not available.
I don't blame them. Everyone needs a holiday now and again. But yeah, so if someone wanted to arrange a viewing trip, what's the best way for them to do that? Is it to contact you guys directly?
Well, ideally, we, as I said, we are a company that specializes in property finding, and we carry out personalized searches. So working through us, and I would have to say that working through us doesn't add any extra cost, because if the clients buys the property through an agent, they will pay the local Italian agent. If they go through us, they would just pay us, and we will share the commission with the local Italian agent. So using us will not add any extra fees, but as I said before, it would add several benefits because we offer a lot of complimentary services, as earlier mentioned. But what I would say, because carry out a thorough search takes several weeks, ideally, if they contact us those kind of 6-8 weeks before they're planning to come to Italy, or even earlier if they are already interested and they know that in a few months they're coming to Italy. But I would recommend the 6-8 weeks, so we can do a proper consultation, discuss options, send some example to understand better their preferences and tastes. Then we would carry out, as I said, a search just for them based on their requirement, offer them all the options available on the market, and we will do that by getting in touch with local agencies, private owners, because in Italy a lot of properties are still sold through direct sellers that they don't want agents involved. And also we get in touch if somebody's interested in new build with developers. We provide the selection, they will decide which one they want to see, and then we will meet them there. Depending on how many properties they want to see, we will take them around with 2-3 days. I I would recommend not to see more than properties for more than 2-3 days, because it starts to be really confusing after a bit. And one piece of advice: very often people don't think the distances from one location to another one. And they, we had sometimes clients that said, yes, we want to see this property in the north of Tuscany, and then in Siena, another property, and they can be 3-4 hours traveling from one side of the region to another one. So, trying to stick with an amount, 3-4 property. In the summer, when the days are longer, we can reach the 5-6 properties a day, but no more than that. And I would stick with no more than 2-3 days viewings, because in particular, if they work through us, we will send much more options, and they will already screen the option that they don't want.
Okay, perfect. So you mentioned new builds there. So a question that comes up a lot is, what are the additional costs clients have to make when purchasing a new build? So what would that consist of?
Well, the plus of having a new build is that you have a property that you can personalize it from the start. It's not being used by anybody. Everything comes with the guarantees, because a new build have a 10 years building guarantee. However, rather than pay property taxes on a new build, you pay the VAT. So general property taxes are quite low, because we are based on something called cadastral value, which is not the commercial value of the property, but is a value given to property, like say equivalent to the council tax bands. If we want to use something like the UK system. One instead, with new build, you're looking at VAT on top of the price. So just to give you an example, the property of 300,000 in as a resale, the property taxes might be 5,000-6,000. Obviously, I'm talking about property taxes for closing, not the annual property taxes. One instead, if you buy a new build, if you buy as a holiday home, it would be 10% on top of that price of the 300. So you get in a 30K bill. If you buy as a resident, and therefore you claim to the government that you are going to register residency at the property in Italy within the 18 months, the tax is at 4% VAT. It's still quite, quite substantial compared to a normal resale. What I always say to clients is that when they budget in terms of property, and then the taxes and all the costs related to purchase the property, to budget around the 6-9% for resales, so property that are not bought by developers, and sometimes can be even less if there's a property is very expensive, because taxes are much lower in that case, but doesn't matter. Budget around the 6-9%. And if instead you buy a new build, you have to budget between the 12 and 16%. So as you can see, it's a big difference.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your insights. There's some really, really, really great insights. But now on to Trevor from Smart Currency. Can you just give us a brief introduction about yourself and Smart?
Yeah, of course. Good morning, everybody. So my name is Trevor Charnley. I'm the Managing Director of the Private Client Division here at Smart Currency. We're a UK-based, FCA-regulated currency firm, one of the biggest private client divisions in the country. And we help tens of thousands of customers go through the overseas property buying journey every single year. We help them understand the currency implications of what they're about to do. We help them understand the risk of currency movement, and we help them mitigate that risk. If you look at 2022 as an example, many of the people that will be on this call will be perhaps British buyers looking to buy in Italy. If you look at 2022, the sterling euro exchange rate between the highest rate and the lowest rate, there's about a 14% difference. And obviously, when you're out there looking to purchase a property in euros and your home currency is sterling, 14% can make a pretty significant difference. So our job here is to help customers from the very early stages of their buying journey, help them understand how currency works, help them understand what that is going to mean for them when they're going through this buying journey, help them understand the risks, and then we'll be able to provide them with solutions either through various different products or services, or at least allow them to make an educated decision as to how they're going to deal with the currency aspect of what they're about to do.
Perfect. So, and it's a great insight to Smart there. So I know you probably get asked this question a million times a day, but how does Smart differ from the normal high street bank?
Sure. So if you imagine that a high street bank is a generalist, if I was going to open a current account, I would go and do it through my high street bank. With something like a large property purchase, you're sending an awful lot of money, and ultimately you need that specialist help. If you were to walk into a bank, a branch of HSBC, if the branches exist anymore, but if you were to call up HSBC or walk into a branch and explain, okay, I'm looking to buy a property in Italy, please tell me about what I need to understand when it comes to currency. The likelihood is that you're not going to get any specialist help. The person behind the counter at HSBC, or indeed the person on the end of the phone, is not going to have very much experience at all in foreign currency. They're not going to help you understand how currency rates move, not going to help you understand what that means for your budget. Equally, many of the products and services that help you remove some of the risk of currency movements, your high street bank will not offer to you as a private individual. Some products such as a forward contract, for example, which is very, very common for use with overseas property, is something that your high street bank will not offer you.
Yeah, so you touched on forward contracts there. So what different transfer options are available with Smart?
Sure. So get the job of Smart and our expert trading team is to help those buyers understand that risk and help them formulate a plan. Currency is not the most exciting part of buying an overseas property, but it is essential. It makes a real big difference. So we will typically talk to a customer before they are going on that viewing trip. So we'll talk to them quite early stages. They may want to talk to us very early stages so that they can understand where they should be budgeting. So they can understand what their sterling will buy them in euros and subsequently what they can actually afford. So we'll talk to customers quite early in the journey. We'll help them understand and formulate a plan before they go. Some of those services, for example, a forward contract allows you to agree today's exchange rate for completion at some point in the future. So how that looks in terms of a property purchase, we will have spoken to that customer in advance of going on that viewing trip to actually see some properties. And at which point, once they get that off, once they go out on that viewing trip, they may very well find the property that they're looking for, place that offer. At that moment, once that offer's been accepted, that's when they're exposed to currency risk. Say they've got a 3 to 4 month window before completion date. Currency rates are moving every second of every day. And at which point, many customers, as soon as they get that offer accepted, will utilize a forward contract, for example, which removes any risk, because they're agreeing today's exchange rate for delivery on completion date. So it doesn't matter whether the currency rates have gone up, gone down, stayed the same. That rate that they've agreed on day one, once that offer has been accepted, is the rate that they will receive on completion date. So they know exactly what in sterling that euro property is going to cost them. So that's one example. Some customers prefer a bit more of a gamble, a bit more risk take. So at which point they'll have that offer accepted and they will simply wait until completion day and just accept whatever exchange rate it is on the day. But of course, as I've just suggested, that 14% movement is a good example. That can make a massive difference to what it's going to cost you come completion day. And there are other products and tools and services available as well, but they're two of the main reasons, two of the main ways that customers will utilize our services.
So forward contracts are pretty important for locking in a rate. So how early can an individual book a forward contract?
So it really depends. I mean, a full contract can be booked up to 2 years in advance, which for most people that are going through the overseas property buying journey is not necessary. If you're buying something off plan, for example, then that is perfectly feasible. So if you're buying something, you know, brand new build that is yet to be built, then we do get customers that will buy forward contracts for the full duration of the expected build. But for most people that are going through the overseas property buying journey, the key is once they get that offer accepted, and then it depends on their completion window, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, whatever it may be, we can help them.
Nice. So we've just had a question follow on from that from Stella. So Stella's asked, I'm doing viewings next weekend, but concerned about the current fluctuations in the pound/euro. What would your advice be on the timings for this?
So my personal view is your best bet is as soon as you should be having the discussion now with your currency expert. So you should be talking to somebody now so that they can lay out the different options for you. It may be to utilize a forward contract. It may be to perhaps do part of your requirement on a forward contract and leave the rest to see what happens in terms of exchange rates. It's all about your risk appetite. But the important thing is talk to a currency expert so that they can lay those options out for you. Personally, if it were me buying an overseas property, I'm negotiating the price at the time. I would want to remove that risk. So for me, as soon as I get that offer accepted, I would be booking a forward contract, take any risk off the table. Whatever the exchange rate is, the exchange rate. I'm not there to gamble on whether it's going to go up, down, left, right. I'm interested in buying that overseas property at that price. I know exactly what it's going to cost me. And presumably, if I'm placing an offer at that moment in that euro price, then presumably I'm happy with how much that's costing me in sterling at that moment. I'd rather not roll the dice and see what happens in the next month, 2 months.
Some great insight there. So if I was to lock in a forward contract, what would happen if my purchase falls through?
Yeah, and again, this is not uncommon. Clearly, I don't wish this on anybody. The contracts that we agree are that it is a contract. We don't hold currency, so to speak. So when a customer books a forward contract with us, we're booking it in the wholesale market. If the property purchase falls through, that isn't uncommon. So what we'll often do is we'll work with that customer their property purchase will fall through and they decide, you know what, that's enough, I'm not going to do this at all. Most customers will then subsequently go on to find another property. So what we will typically do is work with that customer to understand, okay, what are their new timeframes, and we may look to extend that forward contract if they're looking to continue with the purchase.
Nice. So it's just coming away from the properties for a second. So can Smart help with other small payments such as pensions?
Yeah, indeed. We help customers that are doing all kinds of currency transactions of any size. We do help, as I say, tens of thousands of people go through the property buying journey, but the subsequent transactions such as pension transfers, living costs, community fees, insurance, cleaners, gardeners, all that kind of good stuff. Absolutely, we help customers do that either through our telephone dealing team based out of London, or indeed customers are welcome to utilize our app or online platform to book those transactions. So yeah, absolutely, we'll help customers with all transactions of all sizes. With pensions, quite interesting again, because that typically is a regular transfer. We have a really good automated product to allow customers just to make automated repeat payments so that they don't have to remember to log on once a month and make that transfer. Actually, we can tee it all up for them at the start, and each month that money will be exchanged and sent out to the recipient bank. So you don't have to worry about it. You can just set it up and it will run for as long as you want it to run. It's a really good product. Many customers use it for specifically pension payments.
Nice. And is it does Smart not only deal with euros, do you deal with any other currencies as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We deal with, I think we've got about, it fluctuates because of because of exchange controls, that kind of thing. But we can help customers. I think it's about 53 currencies at present. But anything major that people will be dealing with, euro, dollar, Australian, New Zealand, etc., we will deal with. Anything that's tradable, we will deal with. It's only the restricted currencies really which cause a challenge, but that's the same with the banks as well.
Nice. So Stella, who just asked a question a minute ago, was really happy with your response, but just wondered, could you give your thoughts on the current market at the moment and what's kind of happening within the market?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's a very, very odd. It's been very odd since Brexit, to be frank, but particularly since September, very odd indeed. Inflation incredibly aggressive, and subsequently interest rate fluctuations causing absolute havoc in the market. Further interest rate rise this week. My personal view, sterling to euro, it's not a bad spot to be at all. 114, just shy of 114 is where we finished up yesterday. It is the market rate. What you would actually achieve as a customer would be a little bit lower, because that's clearly how that works. But the interbank market is about 114. That's not a bad spot to be at all. If you looked at where we were immediately after the September mini budget, you were 106, 105. As a customer, you might have even been looking at below parity. So personally, I don't think it's a bad spot at all right now. I think, to be honest, there's so much turmoil in the market. It's very, very difficult to call which way it's going. And frankly, if I knew that, I'd be on a beach in the Bahamas somewhere.
We all. So we've just had another question come in actually to go back to forward contracts. So someone's just asked, can I exercise a forward contract early? And if so, what are the penalties?
No, absolutely. You can exercise a forward contract early. And again, on the basis that we deal with so many property type transactions, that's very, very common. Dates move. It's just part of life. The way it works is the forward contract prices are different to a spot contract prices, and it's based on, I'm not going to go into too much technical detail, but it's based on effectively something called the interest rate differential. Really, the penalties aren't, we don't charge you any penalties. We simply do what the market is dictating. So, for example, if you were to take a forward contract a month early on sterling euro, it's not going to make any material difference to the exchange rate, if any. If it were a case that you booked a 2-year forward contract and then wanted to take that contract at 12 months, then there will be a difference between the 12-month exchange rate and the 2-year exchange rate, and therefore there may be a charge associated with it. But it's a market-driven piece. It's not driven by us. We don't charge you to do that. It's just what the exchange rates are between those differences. But largely speaking, customers aren't moving between 24 and 12 months. It's typically, can I take it a month early? Can I take it 2 months early? That's kind of the maximum levels that a typical customer will be doing, at which point the costs are absolutely negligible, if anything. Certainly on sterling euro at the minute, it wouldn't exist.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that, Trevor. That's all we have time for Smart today. So thank you very much. So lastly, Manlio, I think you might be on mute. It's lovely to have you here.
Yes, good morning. Sorry for the delay.
It's all good. At least you're here now. Perfect. So basically, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how C Legal can assist our clients today?
Yes, I'm Manlio Gerbasi, lawyer and C Legal and tax law firm. We are a real estate law firm based in Rome, and we provide legal service throughout Italy. We have office in Milan, in Tuscany, in Lucca, in Puglia, in Ostuni, and Sicily, Palermo, and Noto. We perform more assistance during the real estate purchase process, but also we provide immigration law, business setup, and inheritance and wills. basically we have a lot of foreign clients who assist them throughout the real estate purchase process all over Italy. And we are well located in a hotspot area, as the colleague Stefania was mentioned before. And we provide basically a legal service also for regarding the purchase process, basically contract review, preliminary contract drafting, liaising with the notary, and completed purchase process and assistance remotely, because we act on behalf of our clients with power of attorney. And basically we are able to perform the closing completely remotely, without the clients had to be in Italy and travel for the closing in front of the notary public.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that introduction there. So we haven't got any questions on the chat yet, just as you've just started. So I've got a few questions here to ask you.
Please.
So ones that have kind of been a hot topic from our other seminars. So a lot of people are saying, am I
Hello? Blocked.
I think Ryan has gone away
Blocked.
for a few seconds.
For a coffee or for a tea? Yes, you are back.
too much of a bad face, but yeah, sorry, I'll ask that question again. So someone from our other seminars, and quite a hot topic that people want to ask about is, so if I'm from the UK and my partner is from the EU, what does that mean for us when it comes to visas?
In terms of visa, if there is a registered partner or a coppia di fatto, the EU citizen can move without any issue, also become an Italian resident. And also the partner can be allowed to join the partner and register their residency. Obviously, we need to verify the partner agreement if may have, or all the paperwork, but basically in general, we can confirm that they can move in Italy and obtaining Italian residence, providing
Nice.
some economic means to stay in Italy, obviously, and also all the paperwork to be provided, submitted to the municipality where they apply.
Okay, so just following on with the visa topic. So how long could I stay as an individual in Italy without a visa?
Without a visa, person can stay without visa for 90 days for touristic purpose.
90 days. Okay. So if after that 90 days and I wanted to apply for a visa, where would I do so, and what would the process be?
Depends. There are many types of visa. We should verify applicant which visa is being entitled. Basically, it's a foreigner. The competent authority to apply for the visa is at the Italian consulate abroad. So if the applicant resides in London, would be the Italian consulates, the competent authority to verify the visa application.
Okay. So someone's asking a question about Jenny in the chat. She is asking, is it difficult since Brexit for British passport holders to move to Italy?
Well, I can speak in general, because they can obtain a valid visa to stay within the EU Schengen area and Italy, of course. If they buy or purchase or rent out a property, they can apply for visa for elective residency, which allow to stay in Italy more than 90 days, but they cannot work with this kind of visa, or even remotely. The law is really strictly on this point. They cannot work also remotely with this kind of visa. We are still waiting for a remote visa in Italy, which is not yet regulated. There is a general law already implemented, but we are waiting for the requirements from Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and we hope that in 3 months we also have also this remote visa. Also, they can obtain, foreigners can obtain a visa for working, also by individual, opening a VAT number, but this is linked with the numbers of contingency that the Italian government publish every year and allow to work in Italy without an issue. But this depends from which kind of visa they want like to apply, basically.
Okay. So Mila has asked, if I apply for residency, am I obliged to stay full-time in Italy?
Yes, basically, yes. Full-time,
Okay.
well, she can move, but residency has 2 aspects. The physical residency, which the person decide to live more than 3 months, and also the residency has an impact on the fiscal treatment. If the applicant become obtain Italian residency, it will also be, the applicant will become also Italian tax resident. So also all the income will be taxed in Italy,
Okay.
even if the income are abroad for the worldwide principal taxation.
Okay. So if still on that topic, so if I was to buy a property to live in Italy, is it sensible for me to apply for a visa first before coming over?
It is on the applicant can purchase a property and not necessarily become Italian resident. This depends on the personal situation of the buyer, if he would like to become Italian resident. Because as I said, if it's to work, it is necessary also verify with the international accountant the fiscal treatment.
Okay. So to apply for the visa, do you have to show any income or particular assets to show for a visa?
If they apply for Italian for visa for elective residency, they have to show to Italian authorities economic resource equal to 32,000 euros per year coming from passive income, which means from rentals, investment funds, basically passive incomes. This is the economic requirements. Can be also a percentage more if the member of family has more than one member.
So so if I had to apply for a visa and it got approved, once I've got the residency, would I get free healthcare, or would I have to go private?
Excuse me?
So if I managed to secure a visa, would I get free healthcare or would I have to go private?
Private in which way? Excuse me.
A private healthcare. So would you get free healthcare or private healthcare with residency?
Excuse me now. Excuse me 1 second. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Sorry, did you want me to re-ask the question?
Yes, the question again.
No worries. So so if I officially get residency, do I get free healthcare or would I have to go private for healthcare?
No, they obtain also free healthcare in Italy because it's free. It's mandatory to have also a sanitary policy insurance at the moment of application.
Okay, so what if I've been in the country for a particular amount of time, when can I apply for full-time citizenship?
Not full-time citizens. If they obtain the residency, they can apply after 10 years of becoming resident, or if they have Italian descendants to prove become Italian citizenship through Iure Sanguinis law.
Okay. And a lot of hot topics at the moment is obviously the digital nomad visa. I know last time we spoke, we covered on that. Is there any more updates within that, the visa?
Unfortunately, not no update on this topic, unfortunately.
Okay. So obviously with the digital nomad visa, there'd be no update and you can't currently get it. Is it difficult to get a self-employed visa at the moment within Italy?
It's not impossible, but they can obtain for self-employment visa. Opening a business account. Okay.
Okay. Does your tax obligation follow you if you go for a residency visa, or can you continue with British tax? We just had that question.
If they become Italian resident, they become also Italian tax resident. So they are obliged to pay and file the tax return in Italy.
Okay. So a slightly more obscure question, and we've had asked before, is if I have an Irish passport, what would need to be done to move to Italy?
The applicant has to approve to show, if I remember well, 5,000 euros, and apply for health insurance, and apply to the municipality and become Italian residents. There are not many requirements for European citizens, basically.
Okay. So obviously there's a particular criteria you have to fit to get a visa. So if someone had a criminal record, would that stop them from getting a visa?
No. Criminal records are basically in the foreign countries, not affect the Italian legal system.
Okay. Okay, so I think that is kind of all the questions that we have today. If anyone has any more questions, please reach out to the exhibitors after this call. That's all we have time for today in today's session. Thank you to all of our speakers for sharing your knowledge, and thank you for all the listeners for joining us. If you'd like to discuss something in more detail with one of the speakers, we recommend you visiting the booths in the exhibition hall. Each expert has a wealth of information and documents available on their stand, so be sure to visit their booth and to help you with your plans. There are plenty more seminars being held throughout the day, and they will be available from demand from Monday, so do not hesitate to check them out. Thanks again to all of our hosts on today's session. I really appreciate your time. And everyone have a lovely day, and then be sure to reach out to the guys on their booths.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Bye.